Good morning, children, and welcome to the online classes after a long time. So, we have finished the first semester portion, we have finished the test as well as the activities. So, now my name is Rizwana, and I am going to take the second semester lessons for you all. Okay, science. So there is no need to take the second part of the textbook. In the first part itself, you have all the lessons of general science. So 1 to 8th chapter was taken by Anita Miss. That was first semester portion. So now from 9th chapter onwards, that is second semester portion, I will be taking. I will be continuing this. So here, now first children, please listen what you have to do before attending the online classes. So you have to be prepared and sit for the lesson. You have to sit and only watch the videos, and your textbook, pencil, eraser, this must be kept ready. Don't open your textbook, just you have to keep with you. If anything is there like that to open, when I tell you to open, you can open the textbook. So first, the lesson will be not completed in one period itself. It takes time. This is a long chapter, so I have taken 4 periods to complete this chapter. So now today one bit I will be completing it. So this bit will be completed, explained to you, and the questions will be given based on what topic today it is taken. Okay, then what you have to do is, after listening the video, you have to open your textbook, you have to read the lesson, then you have to find the answers for the questions which are given at the end of the video. Then those questions you have to see the textbook and write the answers. After, in your rough notebook you have to write. After writing the answers, you have to show for your elders, that is your parents or your brothers and sisters who are elder to you or in the higher classes. Then show them the answers, then rectify it. Is it correct or no? If anything is wrong, open your textbook. If spelling mistakes are there, please see the textbook and correct the spellings. Then today it is so much. Then next day. So at the end of this lesson, when I'll be completing this lesson, so nearly about 40 to 50 questions will be there. Every day 10, 10, 10, 10. 4 periods means at least if I give you 10 questions, it will be 40 questions. So based on that, after each lesson, after completing the question and answer writing, you have to learn it and keep it. For the next day again, you will get the 10 answers. Next class again 10 to 15 answers. So like this. So each topic wise you will be getting the questions. So read and keep it ready. The day when the chapter is completed, next period you will be having the test based on this. So now for this second semester, you will be having lesson wise test. After each chapter is over, you will have a slip test. So you have to write everyday class answers so that there won't be any difficulty in answering the test. Okay, so please write in your rough note first the question and the answer, then show for your parents, then you can read it correctly and keep every day 10 to 20 answers whatever are given. Then you have to be ready for the test. Then before me starting the lesson, you have to keep your textbook, pencil and eraser ready, I said you. Yeah, because some of the tables are given here which you have to complete it, and you have to write it only using the pencil. Don't use pen at all in the textbook. Then there are activities. There are so many activities in the lessons, isn't it? So one activity for one lesson you have to do and keep it ready. So any time when we ask you to submit it, you have to give it at that time. And other activities you have to write and keep it in the rough notebook. You have to do the activities and keep it and write your observations, isn't it? So this way we are going to continue the lesson, okay, for second semester. So each lesson will be having 40 to 30 question answer. So now let us start with the 9th chapter. Okay, I'll be taking the 9th chapter now. So now You might have seen in your summer vacations or in the Dasra. Now recently you have finished your vacations, isn't it? Dasra vacations. How many of you all have gone out of station for other places or spent your holidays and all? Some might have gone to the cold places, some might have gone to the hot places, or some might have gone to the places where there is humidity, or some might have gone to the places where it is raining. This year there was lot of rain here also, isn't it? So now the weather, or in every regions, it is not the same. Some places are very hot, some places are very cold, and some places are hot and dry, and some places so humid. So like this, there are different kinds of weather in the different places. So now here, when you go to the mountains, isn't it, mountains or the Himalayas, what type of climate do you find there? There it is very cold, and you can see many kinds of trees here, but the trees are not the same as you see in your local places. Now here in Gulbarga, what type of trees you find? You don't find on the mountains and all, or the Himalayas. There the trees will be different types of trees we can see there. Then when you go to the Rajasthan, as you move to the Rajasthan, which is very hot, there what you can see, which type of plants? That is cactus plant you can see there. Then the animals which you can see there is camels. Then as you go to the beaches and all, sea or beaches and all, there what type of trees you can see there? There you can see casuarina trees. These are casuarina trees here you can see. So here, like this, we see the different kinds of plants and animals in the different regions. And so there you can, not only you can see the plants and animals, but also you can see the organisms. So what do you mean by organisms here? Again, the living creatures. So what are organisms? They are the living creatures. So now let us start with the lesson, the living organisms, characteristics and the habitats. So living organisms, what do you mean by living organisms? Living organisms means the organisms which have the life. They are called as the living organisms. So we are going to study the characteristics and how they are habited or adapted to live. What are the characteristics of the living organisms? So now first let us study about the environment. What do you mean by environment? So environment means everything that we see around us, around our surroundings. So every day you come out of your house, inside your house, isn't it? You see so many living as well as the non-living things. And also you see the physical and the chemical changes around us. So all this consists of what? It is called as the environment. So environment is nothing but that we see surrounding us. So what do we see surrounding us? Living, non-living, physical and chemical changes. So all this is called as the environment. Now next, I told you organisms. What are organisms? Living creatures. So an organism is simply defined as any living thing ranging from microscopic bacteria to large elephants and everything in between. So organisms means not only the small ants and all, smaller than that also, microscopic means bacteria. Bacteria are the microscopic organisms. Means what? Microscopic means which you can see only through the microscope. So what is microscope? Microscope is an instrument through which we can see the smallest thing also. Now supposing now your hand is very clean. You think your hand is very clean. But when you see under the microscope, you can see lot of bacteria in it. Small, which we cannot see with the eyes. But we can see it through the microscope. So the organism from microscopic bacteria to large elephants you might have seen. So these are all the living organisms. So these are called as organisms. So different types of plants, animals are found in different areas. Just now we studied what type of plants are found in the mountains? Oaks, pines and deodars. Then in Rajasthan we can see the cactus plant, and the animal which we can see is camel. Then near the beaches and all, you can see the casuarina trees, I said you. Now let us see in this the slides of these plants and the trees. So now here this is a oak tree. Just now I said you, this is found in the mountains of the Himalayas where it is very cold. So this is a oak. Then next, pine tree. See, can you see here? These you can see only in the Himalayas and the mountain regions. We cannot see around us in Gulbarga or any places. These are found only in the mountains and the Himalayan regions. So these are the pine trees. Then next, this is a deodar tree. Can you see here? This is a deodar. This is also found in the mountains in the Himalayan regions only. Then this is a cactus tree which is found in the desert, I said you, in Rajasthan. Can you see? Then the next is casuarian tree. I said you, this is found near the sea beach. This tree is found near the sea beach, means where there is water. So these are the different types of trees seen in the different regions. Now let us study about the organisms that are present in the different locations. That is, in the desert we said camels. Then in the mountains, what type of animals can we see? We can see the goats and yaks. Then near the beaches and all, you can see the crabs. And then we can see the variety of fishes also in the sea. Then we can see the creatures like ant that are present in all the different locations. Then the kinds of plants found in each of these regions are so different from the plants of the other regions. Now, let us perform an activity. So for this, first we have to start with the forest. What is a forest? What is a forest? Now everyone, when we talk about forest, you will tell what all you can see in the forest. You can see plants, you can see animals, you can see many types of birds, then you can see many types of other objects also, isn't it? So now here there is a table or the activity which is given for you all to complete, that is table 9.1 in your textbook. So after me explaining, you have to open your textbook, then you can complete that table. So just now listen here. So first we can see list the things, that is the animals and plants found in the other regions that are also shown in the table. So what you have to do is you have to collect the examples of the animals which live in the forest, which live on the mountain, which live in the desert, and which live in the sea, or also some other places where they live it. So this information from where you are going to get, either you can ask your parents or with the help of the teachers or with your friends who knows about it. Then you can, other than that also, you can read some of the interesting books which you get in the libraries. Do you know some animals will talk to each other also? In the morning you can see how the animals will be talking to each other. Then plants and the minerals of the different regions also you get by reading the books in the libraries. So now here is a table. So just see, try and include many plants and objects, big and small, in each of the columns in this table. What kind of objects will you find that may not be animals or plants? So if there are no plants or animals, other than that, what you can see in the forest? You can see the sticks, you can see the dried leaves, you can see the different kinds of soil, and also the stones. Pebbles means nothing but the stone. Then as we go through this chapter, we will be going on seeing the examples and we can fill this table. So now here is a table. So first, what is given here is animals, plants and other objects that are found in different surroundings. So in the forest, what type of animals can you find? Everyone knows, I think. So in the forest, you can find the lion, deer, elephants, fox, tiger, leopard, monkey. Other than this also, which all animals you can find in the forest, you can write it. Okay. Then next, on the mountains, what you can find? Just now I told you goat and sheep we had read. Now other than that, what are the other animals which are found here? That is fern, yak, snow leopard, mountain goat, hare, sheep, gorilla. So these are the animals which are found on mountains. Then in the desert, already we studied which animal? Just now I told you camel, then cactus tree, then babul, then scorpion, desert fox, rattlesnake, then hare. These are the animals which are found in the desert. Now let us see which type of animals are found in the sea. So in the sea we can find the fish, whale, shark, alligator, dolphin, crab, octopus. Just now I told you which are the animals which stay near to sea. Crab we read, isn't it? So in the sea we can write the crab and octopus. Then any other than forest, mountains, desert and sea. So this crow, cuckoo, crane, cow, hen, dog, pigeon. Can you tell me where do these organisms live? These organisms will live on the land or on the earth. So these are called as, these are any other organisms other than found in the forest, mountains, desert and in the sea. So this way we have completed the activity. Now we have studied about the, first we have studied about the organisms, then organisms and the surroundings where they live. Now let us study about the habitat and adaptation. Now what is habitat first? So the region or the place where an organism lives is termed as its habitat. So what is habitat? A place where an organism lives. So what does the habitat provide us or provide them? So an habitat provides an organism everything it needs to survive. To survive, what all things we need, it will provide us. For example, food, air, water, shelter, proper weather conditions such as rainfall, heat, etc. to breed and flourish. So this is about the habitat. Now look at what you have entered in the column for desert. Just now I showed you the table. In that table, what you have entered in the column of the desert, we have entered camel, cactus, babul, scorpion, desert fox, rattlesnake and hare, isn't it? So did you list very different kind of organisms in these two columns? That is, in the desert what we have entered? Camel and all. And in the sea what we have entered? Fish, whale, shark, dolphin, crab, octopus and all. So what are the surroundings like in these two regions? One we have taken desert and one we have taken the sea. Do the same animals live in the same places, that is in the desert and fish? No. In the sea, plants and animals are surrounded by water, isn't it? Most of them will use the air dissolved in the water. There is very little water available in the desert. It is very hot in the daytime and very cold at night in the desert. So the animals and the plants of the desert live on the desert soil itself and they breathe the air from their surroundings. The sea and the desert are very different surroundings, isn't it? In the desert the climate is very hot and in the sea the climate is not so hot but full of only water, and the animals which live in the sea cannot live in the desert, nor the animals which live in the desert are able to survive in the sea. So now it is very hot in the daytime and very cold at night in the desert, I said you. So the animals and the plants of the desert live on the desert soil itself. You have seen the soil in the desert, it will be too hot. And how they breathe? They breathe from the surrounding air. The sea and the desert are very different surroundings and we can find different kinds of plants and animals in these two regions. Already we have told. In the desert, what all we find, and in the sea, which animals we find. So now let us study one example in the desert as well as the animals which are living in the sea. So from the desert we'll take the animal camel, and in the sea we'll study about the fish. So already you have learnt in the previous chapters of your class about the fish, isn't it? And even the camel. So now let us first take up about the camel, how it is able to survive in the desert, why it lives in the desert, how it is adapted to live in the desert. So now you might have seen, here you can see in the picture, this is a camel. When you see the camel, you can see it has long legs which will provide protection from the heat of the sand. So I told you in the desert the sand will be hot. So this animal is able to protect from the heat of the sand. And the next point is it will excrete small quantity of urine. And the next one is why they excrete small quantity of urine, because it can live without water for many days, so it doesn't need much water, so it will excrete only the small quantity of urine. Then next point is they do not sweat and their dung is dry. And the next thing, as we sweat, the camel will not sweat, and the dung waste is dry. Can live without water for many days as their body uses little water. So this animal is adapted to live in the desert. Why? Because it needs little water to live. So it can live in the desert for many days. So these are the 4 points why it is adapted to live in the desert. The first point is it has long legs which will provide the protection from the heat of sand. The next point is it excretes small quantity of urine. The third point is it will not sweat and the dung is dry. And the fourth and the last point is it can live without water for many days as their bodies will lose little water. Now the next animal which we are going to study is fish. Let us look at the different kinds of fish. You might have seen in the water the different kinds of fishes, isn't it? On the TV also they show. You might have seen the different kinds of fishes, big, small, colorful, isn't it? Yeah, everyone has seen. Even the live fishes you might have seen at home. Those who eat, they get it to the home, and then after coming that they make it into pieces and use it for eating. So some of these are shown in your textbook in page number 9.3. You can see it after me explaining. So there are so many kinds of fishes, but do you see that they have something common about their shape? So as soon as you see, you tell this is a fish. So what is common in all the fishes? It is they have streamlined shape. That is, their body is like boat shape, so that it will help it to swim in the water. This shape helps them move inside the water. Then the next thing is fishes have a slippery scales. You might have seen, as soon as you try to catch it, it will slip and fall from your hand, but it will help to move in the water very fast. The next one is it has gills, which will help in utilizing the dissolved oxygen, which helps them to respire, which can take in the oxygen. Then next, it has a flat fins and the tail, which help in changing the direction in the water. So here also there are 4 points how it is adapted to live in the water. The first one is it has a streamlined shape, which helps them to move easily in the water. I told you streamline means boat shape. Then next is presence of slippery scales, means it has slippery scales. As soon as you touch, it will slip from your hand and it falls, I told you. Next, it has gills. These are the respiratory organs. Gills are the respiratory organs of the fish. As we human beings have lungs, like that fishes have gills. which will help in utilizing the dissolved oxygen. And the last one is it has the flat fins and the tail, which with which they help, this tail and the fins will help for changing the direction in the water. So it is in this way it is adapted to the sea life. It is able to live in the water. They are able to live in the fresh water also, and they are able to live in the salt water also. But the fishes which are able to live in the fresh water will be able to survive only in the fresh water, and the fishes which are able to live in the salt water can survive only in the salt water. So usually when we buy the fishes, they tell, no, this is salty and this is fresh water fishes. So now we have seen the features of the fish which will help it to live inside the water, and the features of the camel which help it to survive in the desert. So we have taken only 2 examples from a wide variety of animals and the plants that live on the earth. In all this variety of organisms, we find that they have certain features which will help them to live in the surroundings in which they are normally found. The presence of specific features or the certain habits which enable the organism to live naturally in a place is called as adaptation. So now you might have seen the fish. It is able to live only in the water. It is adapted to that type of life. And camel, it is adapted to live in the desert. Isn't it? So the presence of specific features or the certain habits which enable an organism to live naturally in a place is called as adaptation. Adaptation of organisms differ. How? So adaptation also differs. On what? On depending on their place of dwelling. That is why so only what happens? A fish cannot live out of the water, nor a camel can live out of the desert. Can we bring the fish in the desert and the camel in the water? No. So it is, fish is adapted only to live in the water, and the camel is adapted only to live in the desert. So the place where the organisms will live, it is called as habitat. Now after seeing these examples, what we can prove? We can say that the place where organisms live is called habitat. Habitat means a dwelling place or a home. The habitat, what it provides? It provides food, water, air, shelter and other needs to organisms. Several kinds of animals and plants live in the same habitat. The plants and animals, so here now habitat is divided again into different types of habitat. That is terrestrial habitat, aquatic habitat, arboreal habitat, like this. So both the organisms discussed in previous slides have specific features or the characteristics that enable them to survive in their habitat. These features are termed as adaptations. So now we are going to study about the terrestrial habitat and the aquatic habitat. Now already you know what is a terrestrial habitat. Plants and animals that live on the land are said to live in a terrestrial habitat. So the plants and animals which live on the land, they are called, where they live, that is called as the terrestrial habitat. For example, what all we can find in the terrestrial habitat is, what all comes is forest, deserts and the mountain regions. Now aquatic habitat means plants and animals that thrive in water, that is they live in water, said to live in the aquatic habitat. For examples, rivers, lakes, seas, etc. These all you have studied in your previous class also about the terrestrial habitat and aquatic habitat. What did you study? The organisms which can live on the land, they are called as terrestrial. They are called as terrestrial, and the animals or the organisms which can live in the water are called as aquatic organisms. So like this, now we are going to study about habitat, terrestrial habitat and the aquatic habitat. Habitat means a place where the organisms live. So now next, now let us study about acclimatization. What it is? Now let us study about acclimatization. So now what is this acclimatization? So you might have seen there are some changes that can happen in an organism over a short period of time to help them to adjust to some changes in the surroundings. So sometimes suddenly when we are changed for something, or when we move from one place to another, so that climate doesn't suit us, isn't it? We have to wait for some time, then we have to get adjusted, we have to face the problems, then only we'll get adjusted, isn't it? So like that, sometimes what happens, organism over a short period of time will help to adjust to the, they'll try to adjust with the surroundings. For instance, if we live in the plains and suddenly we go to the mountain regions, what happens? What we do? We may experience difficulty in breathing and doing the physical exercise for some days. We need to breathe faster. We are on the high mountains. After some days, our body gets adjusted to the changed conditions on the high mountain. Such small changes that takes place in the body of a single organism over the short period to overcome the small problems due to changes in the surroundings are called as acclimatization. These changes are different from the adaptation and takes place over thousands of years. So now did you understand what is acclimatization? Means what? It takes some time for us to adjust to that surroundings or that place. That is called as acclimatization. One of the example here given is if we are living in the plain region and suddenly if we go to the mountain regions, what happens there? We'll have a breathing problem and it will be too cold also. So it takes time to adjust to the surroundings. So our body takes some times to adjust. That is called as acclimatization. Then let us study about aquatic habitats. The next one is aquatic habitat. We had taken the terrestrial habitat. Now let us take the aquatic habitat. Lakes, rivers and oceans are the examples of aquatic habitats. There are large variations among the terrestrial habitats. So already I told you, that is the forest, grassland, desert, coastal and mountain regions located in different parts of the world. So now after this, now let us study about the biotic and abiotic factors or the components. So now can you see in the picture here? These are biotic factors and these are abiotic factors or the components. So now by seeing the picture only you can tell. Biotic factors means living organisms or the living things. Then abiotic factors means non-living things. What is required for the living things to require? Those are called as the abiotic factors. Biotic factors which the living things require. Abiotic factors are the non-living things which is required by the living things. So biotic components, these are the living components of the ecosystem. So what are biotic components? These are the living components of the ecosystem. Ecosystem is where all the biotic factors are there or the living organisms are there. For example, flora and fauna. Flora and fauna means plants and animals. Abiotic components, the non-living components of the ecosystem like soil, water, air, etc. are called abiotic components. So now are you thorough with the biotic and abiotic components, children? Yeah. So you should be able to answer immediately what is biotic component and abiotic component, living and non-living. So in the picture here it is shown, you see, predators, disease, food. So this is what the living organisms need. Then here non-living things, light intensity, temperature, pollution and the moisture. Now there is another activity. We know that some plants grow from the seeds, isn't it? Yeah. Let us look at some abiotic factors and their effect on seeds as they grow into the young plants. So here there is an activity. This you can do it and you can tell me your observations in the next class. So first what we have to do is, first we made the sprouts from the moong and chana seeds. So if you have not made also, you can do it. What you have to do, you have to take the moong and the chana and soak and keep it for the overnight. When the seed is turned into sprout, it is called as germinated, or it is called the germination. Means what? This is the beginning of the new plant from the seed. You might have seen your parents and all also eating the raw sprouts. For the overnight you have to keep it, and the morning the sprouts will be coming out. So everyone might be having at home. So this experiment you all can do it. So what you have to do is, first you have to collect some dry moong seeds. Then keep a small heap of seeds aside and soak the rest in the water for 1 day. So little bit of seeds you have to keep it aside, and the rest of them you have to soak it in the water. For how many days? For 1 day. Then the soaked seeds which you have put it in the water, soaked means you have to mix it with the water, and you have to make it 4 parts. Why we have to make 4 parts? Because the first part you have to keep completely, these seeds are in the water. For how many days you have to keep? 3 to 4 days. Then do not disturb the dry seeds and those submerged in water. Then don't disturb for it. Keep it only in the soaked in the water. Keep one part of the soaked seeds in the sunny room. So where you will get the direct sunlight, no? There you have to keep the soaked seeds. Another is completely dark region, like a cupboard that does not allow any light to come in. Or you can keep in the shelves also, where you keep your books and all, no? There you can keep it where the light will not fall. Then the last part, in a very cold surroundings. So 4 places you have to keep. One is completely in the water, one is completely in the sunlight, and one is dark room or dark inside the cupboard. And the remaining last one you have to keep where it is very cold, that is in the fridge or around where there is ice. Then set these 3 parts to germinate. So after that you have to make it to grow. When you put this, it will start growing by rinsing them and draining the water every day. Means what? Every day you have to throw that water, again take the fresh water and put it. So what do you notice after this? After a few days, do the seeds in all the 5 parts germinate equally? So will the plants begin to grow in all the 5 parts? Do you find slower, whether we find some of them are growing slowly, or we find that there is no germination, means no seed has grown into the plant? So you have to see this, and in the next class when I ask you, you have to tell it, or at the end of this lesson when I complete this lesson, you have to tell your observation. So this is the activity which you have to do it and keep it. Did you all hear? So only I am telling you all. Do you find that abiotic factors like air, water, light and heat are very important for the growth of plants? So already you know from the lower classes you all are reading, air, water, light and heat is necessary for the growth of all the living organisms. So whether it is necessary or no, after your observation you are going to tell me. In fact, these abiotic factors are important for living organisms. So already I told you, these are abiotic factors, though they are non-living, but they are very important for all the living organisms, without which the living organisms cannot live at all. We find that organisms exist in very cold as well as very hot climates and surroundings, isn't it? So how do they manage to survive? So organisms can, you can see many people living in the hot climate also and living in the cold climate also, but they are adapted to this type of life, so they are able to adjust it. So now Gulbarga also, it is so hot, sometimes the temperature goes up to 45, but we are surviving, isn't it? But if we go to the cold region, where last year when you all had been for the Delhi and all, for Manali, there you had seen how cold it was. Though you were wearing your sweaters, everything, you all were still shivering. But the people who are staying there, they were quite adjusted to that environment. So nothing was wrong with them. Only we were feeling cold. So adaptation is a method by which organisms get well adjusted to the climate. So now what is adaptation? Adaptation is the method by which organisms get well adjusted to the climate. Adaptation does not take place in short time because the abiotic factors of the region also changes very slowly. That is air, water, shelter, these are the abiotic factors. So everything will not be same in same climate in the same region. So it will be different. So it takes time to adjust. Those organisms which cannot adapt to these changes. So the person who is not able to adjust to that type of environment, what happens? Sometimes they die or they move where they are able to survive. Which environment is suitable for them, they try to go and live there and survive. So organisms adapt to different abiotic factors in different way. This results in the variety of organisms in different habitats. Let us look at some habitats, understood the abiotic factors and the adaptations of animals in this habitat. So now today what we have studied? We have studied about the organisms. So today we have studied about the environment, then we have studied about the organisms, then we have seen the different types of plants grown in the mountain regions, then in the desert, then near the beaches, sea or the beaches. Then we had done the activity, that is the different types of animals in the forest, on mountains, in the desert, in the sea, etc. Then we had studied about habitat and adaptation. Then how camel is adapted to the desert life. Then we have studied about fish which is able to live in the water or it is adapted to the water life. Then we have studied about the terrestrial habitat and the aquatic habitat. Then we have studied about acclimatization. Then we had studied about biotic and abiotic components. Then we had done the activity based on germination. So this activity was given to you. You have to tell your observations in the next class. Then we have studied how the organisms are adapted to the different habitat. If they are able to survive, they live there or they may die. Which will adapt can survive and which cannot adapt, they may die. So here I am going to end my class and I am going to give you a few questions which you have to read the lesson and then write the answers. Show to your elders, get it corrected. Even you can see the textbook and correct the spellings and please read it. Pronunciation of words and all, here it's a bit tough. So now acclimatization, this word you can repeat it 10 times. Then you can tell what is the definition of it. Now can you tell me what is acclimatization? Yeah, this pronunciation, acclimatization it is. Okay, what it is? Acclimatization. So what is acclimatization? So acclimatization is small changes that takes place in the body of a single organism over short periods to overcome small problems due to their surroundings. So like this you should be able to tell the definition as well as the word, pronunciation of the word. That is terrestrial, habitats, adaptation, aquatic, components, biotic, abiotic. So like this you have to read the spellings, pronounce it and then learn the question and answers. Let us continue in the next class. Thank you.